Welcome everybody to day 45 of cognitive drawing. So as you can see, we are looking at hands today. These are some amazing sketches from my friend Ahmed Aldouri. You can find some more of his art at this web address right there. And he was kind enough to let me use a bunch of his hand drawings because I just love the way he draws hands. Hands are tricky and require lots of practice. So let's start looking at the bones and knuckles. Okay, so here's the hand, and you see the bones underneath, and you see kind of where the knuckles are positioned, the curved line, the bones here, and this is the palm of the hand you can kind of see as well. I'm going to just do this so that it's kind of on screen so we can all reference it together, okay? So we have, these are our fingertips basically, and the knuckles go on the, obviously on the outside, and then there's the meaty part on the inside. So we can kind of hug these joints pretty good. And we're just going to keep in mind that the meaty part is on the outside, and then it hugs the bone on the inside, okay? I mean, hugs the bone on the outside, and it's meaty on the inside. Okay? Now one thing, we're going to study this more, but one thing, you don't go all the way down to these knuckles. Let's say this is the palm, the back of the hand. So we're going to emphasize these knuckles right here, where the bones are actually sticking out the back of the hand. Because those bones are pretty prominent. There's a little hint of them here, maybe a little bit there. And usually people draw this part right between these knuckles, but that's the wrong place. It's usually in between these two. So make kind of a little in-between mark. Just keep in mind that that is where this part of the webbing part of the fingers is. Okay. If you can remember that, you will automatically draw hands a lot more realistic. Okay, we're just keeping it really basic, okay? Keep in mind this arc, where the knuckles are. Think about that arc. We could throw in some fingernails, just to indicate that with circles. And we're good. Okay, do a similar thing, but the opposite. We're going to draw the bones into the hand, okay? So that's pretty simple. Just look at each one of these as the joint, and you can just start by, well, actually let's start by putting 5, a joint right in the middle, and then 2 more on each side. So 5 joints across that bone. And just keep in mind, this is how they're going to connect. And then the thumb one connects there. So this is actually all shifted over just slightly a little bit when it connects to the wrist compared to what you would think it just goes straight in, but nope, it all shifts over a little bit because of this thumb joint, okay? Thumb bone. So let's just imitate these bones over top of that stuff, okay? Whoop. My lines are not quite as nice as I want them to be. Remember, it spreads out when it gets to the knuckle, and the bones are pretty thin. And they can go right on the edge of that top of the finger. I'm not going to go on the edge of the bottom. You don't have to do anything very accurate. Just, it can be that shape. It can just be something really basic like that. Just to kind of start thinking about the muscles. Sorry, about the bones and the joints. So all you're trying to do is just think, how do these joints go together underneath that skin? Okay, now we're going to just do it again a couple times. Draw the bones inside the hand. So I'll have you do that. You might want to, I'm not going to do this one with you, but you might want to just have a wrist bone down here. Remember, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember that this very closest to the thumb goes diagonal. And then remember, your joints are not going to be right here, right next to the edge. No, no, no. You're going to take this joint and go about twice the distance into the hand, and then that's where that first joint is, okay? So you can find the edge of the hand, and there you go. Because we got a knuckle here, and then we got another one kind of hidden back there, okay? Whoops, man, going way too fast. And then we got our joints. Just put those joints in as good as you can. You can draw that simple line structure underneath there, and then just draw over top of it, okay? Oh boy, I said I wouldn't do this, and then I'm doing it. My bones are not the right thickness at all, but to think about them, how they would fit inside these hands. Oh wait, so I did it. I drew it with you. This one I will let you guys do on your own. But there, you remember, these here are already indicating where those bones are. You know that that's where those knuckles are, and you could just continue that, right? You all also know that there's the other joints. We've got a joint there, a joint there. So with all that information, you know. Now study the proportions of the hands, especially the knuckles. So you can see how the palm is broken up into exactly half of the length of the fingers, almost. Just kind of like we did with the body proportions. You can see kind of how that structure is with these hands. Draw the hand over the guides below while studying the reference above. Okay, now remember this is the palm, so we're going to just use this reference above to kind of try to just draw in as good as we can the palm. You can see that the knuckles go really close to the skin there. Now this is going to be the meaty part of the hand because we are drawing the palm, remember? And we'll just copy what we see above. There's the palm. We kind of have this line that comes down there. We can kind of get that shape. There's the wrist bone. And we'll just kind of do as good as we can, just imitating what we see above, okay? Those knuckles kind of get a little wider. Oops. You can make it a little wider where the knuckles are if you want. Okay, so we kind of have a palm here. You can see there's this line if you draw where the knuckles meet. It's kind of where that fold is. Now here's the back of the hand, so we'll just be referencing above as well. And this time we're going to have to draw our own little structure, okay? So remember, we have 5 fingers, so we'll put the middle finger there, and we'll just give ourselves 5 bones where they attach to the wrist bone here. Now remember, you're not going to have to do this every time you draw a hand, but we can just think about the bones and the structure on this picture. Okay, now you notice the knuckle bones aren't right here at the edge. They're down inside the hand a little bit more. So let's just draw 1, 2, 3, 4 knuckles. There's 5 down here, 4 here. It's because the 5th one is right over here in the corner. Comes up. And then we can just continue now about the halfway point. So this here line is about a halfway point between where the knuckle is and where the first joint is. It's a good guide. And then, we're going to just continue that as good as you can. and just draw his fingers over top. Nothing really fancy I'm doing, just kind of making a tube over top of these knuckles. Your fingers kind of continue, but that skin is going to stop right there, right? And this flap of skin, we just follow this. And then we have these nice knuckle places where we can just kind of throw some indications of where those knuckle joints are going and where this bone actually goes here. Where you remember there's 5 down here, so this one goes over here. This one goes here. So it's kind of looks a little crooked. But obviously you don't need to draw all of those joints. And then if we erase those knuckle circles and just kind of indicate where those bones would actually be, that's actually in the hand, you know, you actually see that kind of stuff. Let's just do some little lines to represent these parts. Fingernails. And there you have yourself a really simple hand based on that shape. Whoops. Okay, so finish this out like that. And then finally, to continue with some of the proportions and the correct way to do it and the wrong way, like here's another example of the wrong way where people usually draw where the knuckles are is where the skin stops on the fingers. Well, remember that this place is usually right in between the knuckle here and the first joint, okay? Right in between. So keep that in mind. You can also see how that applies to the fist here. Where it stops is right in between the knuckle and the first joint. And so you can see a lot of times beginners will draw those knuckles going all the way up there, and it's just wrong. It's not how it's drawn. It's not how the body is. So think about that, keep that in mind, and then you can also see it's broken down a little bit here into 4s. So here's that skin line, knuckle, knuckle, and it's just, these are 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. And so, you know, it doesn't apply the same to every single finger, but it's pretty close to that. Okay? Notice how the knuckles are positioned in relation to the fingers. Okay, so study the basic hand tutorial. So this is the basic tutorial. I didn't even put numbers here because it's so basic. So we got the kind of skewed square. We add these triangles to it. You add the kind of bone structure lines underneath that really quick. Is where you want the fingers to be positioned. And then you can just draw over top of that really quickly. Now that you know how these bones and knuckles relate to each other. Finish drawing the 3 hands below or any of the techniques that you just learned. So we have our thumb. I'm just going to keep that pretty close there. We have this triangle that sticks out there. See how quickly you can just kind of throw down basic finger shapes with all this knowledge in mind, and it works. It just works because that's how the hands are structured. And remember, we can have those kind of diamond shape shapes coming out. Add some of that if you want, and suddenly you kind of have a decent hand shape. Okay? We can add some of those like knuckle lines, you know. My fingers are pretty skinny looking. Throw in some fingernails real quick. Boom. Now, we can decide what we want to do here, but I'm going to just do this one because we can add to this. So let's say I'm just going to add that triangle this way and that way. I think I'm going to just, how do I want to draw this hand? Can we draw a hand doing that? That's so unnatural. That kind of seems a little too unnatural to me. So let's just do this. Okay, so we got our bones. Well, if this is our halfway point, then we know that oops. We know that's going to look like that about. This one's kind of tucked in, so it's shorter than that one. See that we're even doing a little bit of overlap. And those knuckles. I'm going to just erase this so we don't have to erase our knuckles after we've drawn them. We can still use those as reference though, even though we've erased them. I'm just drawing in some quick little lines to indicate the joints. There we go. We have kind of another skinny hand. I guess that's just my technique, right? That's just my style. So now's your turn to just finish all these off. I won't do this one. I'll let you guys do that one. I hope you enjoyed breaking down the hands. I know this is a lot to take in all at once, but you guys can do it. Just think about the structure underneath. Look back at our reference images. If you get confused, that's where the structures and the joints are, and then just put that skin over top of the joints, and you should be good to go. All right, we'll keep practicing hands all week. See you tomorrow.